Hi guys, today is September the 30th, and we are working on the night face up. Your assignment today, if you look at your agenda, is to complete the check your understanding and the analyze the text. Yesterday you should have done this grammar activity over simple subject and predicate, and you should have read the story. If you have not read the story, since the next 2 days we're working on getting all the activities finished for this story, go ahead and go back and finish reading the story before you try to do these questions, okay? So it is paramount that you get the story read first. But this video will be here for you where we're going to go over the analyze the text questions, okay? So here's the check your understanding. No, it's not. Here, so you've got these 3 multiple choice questions. Make sure you do complete those and check your answers. And then let's move on to the analyze the text. Cortazar, that is the author, begins the narrative with the plot concerning the motorcycle accident rather than the one about the manhunt. If you don't know what that's talking about right now, then you need to stop and go back and read the story again. If you don't understand that there's a motorcycle plot, a motorcycle accident plot, and an Aztec manhunt plot, then you need to go back and reread it because the story bounces back and forth between those 2 settings, and most of these questions are about that. So, why is this choice an effective way to structure the story? Support your response with evidence from the text. So this is kind of an opinion question. It's just asking you, why was it good? Why was it helpful for him to start off this story in like that modern setting, him riding a motorcycle and having an accident? Was that part of the story sort of easy to understand, get you into the story with sort of an interesting beginning, that kind of thing, okay? I don't think this question is particularly complicated. You just need to answer it with your own opinion. How was that an effective way to start? And then give me a quote from the text. Do not just copy a quote down and expect that to count as an answer because it will not. So 2 or 3 good sentences. Evaluate. Pay attention to what this title is and what it's asking you to do. To evaluate something, you're giving your own thoughts and opinions about it, passing judgment on it in a way. The author structures the story so that the parallel plots mirror each other, okay? So there are similarities with the way the motorcycle accident and hospital scene plays out and the manhunt and the lead up to the sacrifice play out. For example, the author describes a scene in which the protagonist is x-rayed, taken to surgery, and approached by a doctor. Where in the second plot does the author echo this scene? I'm going to tell you this is very near the end of the story where this scene is echoed exactly, okay? So let's think about the title of the story for just a second. It's called The Night Face Up, okay? What does that mean? It mentions being face up several times in the story. What does that mean? Somebody answer me. Who was face up and what does being face up mean? This is not a trick question. Alder, who was face up? Oh, okay. Josh, who was face up? All right. If you don't know who was face up, you need to reread the story. So I'm not going to say that. But anyway, the night face up, both of these parallel plot structures, well, the manhunt definitely happened at night. And someone was face up, which means laying with their face towards the sky or the ceiling, whichever the case may be. So you need to find the exact spot and keep reading until you find it, because that's what I did. At first I was like, oh, well, maybe this is it. And then when I found it, I was like, oh, that's it. Okay. When you see it, you'll know where this second plot is echoed. And what is the effect of this mode of narration? So how does that affect the story and your understanding of it, or just the plot of it, or I thought this was a really cool story. So how does him mirroring him being in the hospital with him about to be sacrificed by Aztecs, how does that contribute to the effectiveness of the story? Oop, clicked the wrong thing. All right, 3. In both plots, the author frequently refers to smells. Explain how the descriptions of smells differ in each plot. Again, this is not a complicated question. I had a student in my first period right now saying he thought these questions were a little bit more straightforward and easy, and I think I agree with that. So it's very easy to find these text examples where he's talking about things that he smells. What does he smell in the hospital, and what does he smell in the jungle? It's the jungle. What does he smell in the jungle? And how do these differences affect the tone of each plot? So the attitude towards the story. So the things that he smells in the hospital are different than the things that he smells in the jungle, and his tone towards being in the hospital is different. So let me just give you a huge hint here. Which one of these plots is the tone suspenseful, fearful? He feels terror, okay? And how do those smells affect that tone? And then how does he feel when he's in the hospital? Does he feel that same way? And what are the smells? How do the smells affect that and the tone as well? Answer these questions thoroughly, guys. These are good questions to really practice your skills of answering the questions, because the questions themselves are not as difficult. The protagonist, if you don't remember, this is review, is the main character in a story. Don't think about it as, because this is a common misconception, don't think of it as good guy, bad guy, because the bad guy can be the protagonist. A bad guy can be the protagonist. It's not about good guy, bad guy. It's about the protagonist is the main character in the story. The antagonist, or antagonists in this case, are the people that he's struggling against, that has a conflict with. So he's never named. We don't know what his name is. But his reality and his ongoing dream make up the parallel plots of this story. How does the reader's perception of the protagonist change throughout the story? Cite text, evidence to support your ideas. So what do you think about him at the beginning of the story, and how might that change throughout the story as you read it? Does your perception of him change? So I'll just go ahead and say at the beginning of the story, he just seemed kind of happy-go-lucky. Remember, you can go back to that list of tone words. Just Google tone words list. He seems sort of happy-go-lucky and spirited and happy to be getting out and riding his motorcycle through the streets, very sort of confident. And then his character changes quite a bit. So discuss that and cite evidence from the text. Identify 2 moments in the night face-up when the main character has a realization. What do these aha moments suggest about the man's changing state of mind and his lucidity? So lucidity means if you're lucid, well, let's just look it up. It means if you're thinking clearly, awake and alert and thinking clearly. But let's just look it up in case. Lucid definition. Expressed clearly, easy to understand, bright and luminous. What does it mean when a person is lucid? Easily understood or thinking clearly. Okay, so I was just making sure I had that exactly right. So what are 2 times when he has an aha moment? An aha moment is one of our signposts. It means when he goes, when he goes, oh, I just realized something, okay? Like a big something. So I'm going to go back into the story and tell you where I found an aha moment that you may have missed. If you did, you're going to sort of miss the really a cool feature, interesting feature of this story. So let's look. I'm in the very last paragraph, and this kind of goes along with this question. This is aha moment as well. What does the main character suddenly realize in the second half of the paragraph? So the executioner priest is coming toward him with the stone knife in his hand. He managed to close his eyelids again, although he knew now he was not going to wake up, that he was awake. Remember, he's in the hospital and he's like, oh, I wish I would wake up from this dream. I wish I would wake up from this dream kind of thing. Then he realizes he was not going to wake up, that the marvelous dream had been the other Absurd as all dreams are, a dream in which he was going through the strange avenues of an astonishing city with green and red lights that burned without fire or smoke, and an enormous metal insect that whirred away between his legs. Guys, if you missed this part, then you missed the whole aha thing of the story. What is the metal insect? The motorcycle. All right. So when I was reading this first, I was like, which one of these is real? Were you thinking that? Which one is real? The hospital? Is he in the hospital or is he in Aztec times? Kind of reminds me of Without Title, just because there was that the parallel cultural settings, but they weren't going back and forth in time. He's going back and forth in time, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I knew from the description of the author and how he writes that it's based on like fantasy and illusion and, keeps you guessing, hallucinations even. So I was thinking, is he really in the hospital or could he be in the past? But he couldn't be in the past because this is just how I was thinking, guys. He couldn't be in the past because if he was in the Aztec past, how would he know about hospitals and motorcycles? Because that's in the future. But if he's in the present in the hospital, then he would know about Aztec past and he could have a dream about that. But this throws that whole idea on its head because he says the dream had been the other. He realized that he was awake. He wasn't going to awaken from this dream. The dream had been the other, as absurd as all dreams are. A dream in which he was going through the strange avenues of an astonishing city that has green and red lights that burned without fire or smoke, and an enormous metal insect that whirred away between his legs. So I feel like I'm giving away too much here, but I really want you to understand the story. What the author is saying here is that the dream is the first part of him riding the motorcycle and getting into an accident. He's saying that the real part is him being in Aztec times. And to me, that kind of like lends even a more mysterious part to it. Like, could the ancient Mayans and Aztecs sort of predict the future? I mean, that's a thing that have you heard like the Mayan calendar, and it was going to end in 2012 and all that? I know the Mayans and the Aztecs are different, but there's this lore or this folklore of, the ancient Native American and South American tribes and Central American tribes being able to like predict the future, or knowing things that they had no way of knowing at the time. So anyway, that could be something that the author is playing up in this text. All right, so let's go back to the questions. I hope that helped you understand the story. Still, please, if you have not read it, read it thoroughly. It is really a good story. And then, okay, so that was the last one. So what do these aha moments? So there's another aha moment. So you have to find it. 2 moments where he realizes something. I suspect the other one is going to be something about when he wakes up in the hospital and realizes something. What does that suggest about the man's changing state of mind and his thinking? Okay. What is his state of mind like? And what is his state of lucidity or not? Is he lucid or not lucid? Does anybody have any further questions about those questions? All right, I'm going to say this one more time. I mentioned it to all of my class in class yesterday, so this is for remote learners as well. Again, some of you remote learners are doing awesome. I emailed one yesterday. I'll email another tomorrow, just to kind of let you know, how much I appreciate you remote learners that are doing your work on time every time. I don't even have to worry about it. And then there are some of you remote learners who aren't doing your work, and it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to get any better. The further you get behind, the worse it's going to get. And I had that talk with my in-person learners yesterday as well. So get caught up on your work and stay caught up on your work. If you turn in something late this 6 weeks, whether you're virtual, quarantined, in person, as long as you're not actively ill, then you're expected to do your work at home if you're not here. Okay. So if you turn in something late, you can only make a 70 on it. So don't expect me to keep taking work. And then at the 3 week grading period, I'm not going to take, like, this assignment, for instance. I'm trying to touch my computer screen. This assignment, for instance, this analyze the text will be graded. After the, if you don't do it and you get a 0, after the progress reports come out in 2 weeks, a week and a half, you will not be able to complete this for a grade. It will remain a 0. So I'm only accepting late work up until the 3 week period, and then again for that next 3 week period until report cards come out. So keep that in mind. Get your work done. Tomorrow, if you want to go ahead and continue, you're going to do the critical vocabulary. I don't think I assigned the language conventions. You're also doing another level up tutorial. Make sure you get that done. But anyway, your test over this is on Friday. So you need to get all of the activities completed, and then you're going to do the response log. So you guys know the drill at this point. Refer back to the agenda to see what is due every day. Okay. And I think that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, email me, or if you're in class, ask, and I will talk to you later.